All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our announcements for today. And then we can go ahead and get started with our lesson. So announcements for this week. There is a required safety video on Canvas for you guys. I know most of us probably did it on Friday, but if you didn't, you need to make sure that you take the time to watch the video and click, not click, you have to type in the chat box that you have watched it or done, complete, watched, something like that, and then just hit submit. It will unlock all of the rest of the stuff in that module for you. But make sure you go ahead and go in there and take care of that so we can mark you off as having that done. The quarter is going to end next Friday, like completely done. It's over for first quarter. Kind of moved fast, but at the same time, it kind of didn't because it's hard to believe that it's October already. Um, you need to make sure that you have your assignments done and turned in. Most of them, I think, are set to lock on Friday. There are some that lock next week. Some of the stuff we've done kind of recently is set to lock on the 16th. But you guys need to make sure that you have your stuff done and submitted. I've seen a lot of people have been submitting stuff over the weekend. I didn't even have my computer with me this weekend to log in and grade stuff, but my phone was dinging like crazy. So good job with you guys turning your stuff in. So we are good with that. Um, as far as Wednesday is our async day. I know it's a half a day for you guys, but we, as your teachers, will not be on Zoom meetings that day. So if you need assistance, Miss Purdue will be available to answer any questions that you have. Tomorrow, I'm gonna show you what you will be doing on Wednesday, so that way you're not confused and you know where everything is going to be, so you can get your stuff done and do what you need to do. But I'll show that to you guys tomorrow. You will have to do attendance for all of your classes, so you get credit for being in your classes. So make sure that you do your attendance for all of those. As far as the last grade, or the first grade of this first quarter, is going to be your evolution project that you'll get on Friday. We'll give you all the directions and all the rest of that. It is going to lock on the 20th, which is a Tuesday. You guys are actually out on that Monday for a teacher work day, but on that Tuesday at 11:59, it will completely lock. So you need to make sure that you get that done before that day. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and go to our Nearpod, which is working on loading. There it is. We need to make sure that we go ahead and type our response in the box. I'm going to put the link in the chat for those of us that joined a little bit late and didn't get a chance to grab it. The link is now in the chat. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to respond if you have not had a chance to respond just yet, and then we will talk about it. All right, so let's go ahead and look at our responses. So a lot of what I'm seeing is the white one. See a lot of the white one, but I don't really see a whole bunch of reasonings why. Okay, there we go. The white one, because it blends in with its surroundings and probably won't get eaten. Um, uh, see a lot of the white one blending in and camouflaging, which is true. It is able to hide better from predators in the snow because it's white, as opposed to our lovely little brown guy that sticks out and is very noticeable against that white background. So make sure that we have clicked this link to get a copy of your notes. It is also linked in Canvas if you need it. We are going to watch a video. I will link it on the page as well. But we are going to watch a video about Darwin. And in the text box that's on Pear Deck, I want you to go ahead and type 2 facts that you see about the video. If you want to go ahead and open that box so that you are able to type in it, you can. And you can type as you watch the video if you'd like. Alrighty, so take a few minutes to go ahead and type in the chat. What are two facts that you learned about from that video? Could be about evolution. It could be about Darwin himself. What are two things that you learned? All right, things that I see. Um, all organisms are related to each other some way. Okay. Natural selection is described as survival of the fittest, where the fittest refers to the ability to survive and reproduce. Correct. Um, uh, natural selection is the way things evolve. Evolution is the change of things over time. Natural selection can change a species and its environment. Okay. All right. Okay, cool. All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started with our notes for today. I have turned your presentation to student view, so you have the ability to self-pace. You can go at whatever speed you need to go at so that you can get your notes done. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We have this guy, Charles Darwin. He is credited with the theory of natural selection. The idea of evolution had been around for a while by the time he hit the scene, but we know from when we talked about Wegner last week that sometimes scientists kind of have an idea and they have evidence to prove something happened. They just may not know the how it happened, and sometimes they don't know the why it happens. So when a scientist comes up with a question that goes with that, either the why, it could be the how, a lot of times they are credited with pretty much the creating the theory, because it could be like one of those well thought things, but until you come up with the science behind it and you are the person that's kind of responsible for that, that's when they kind of start giving people credit for discoveries and theories and all the rest of that. So he struck out and got a boat, ship. His ship was the HMS Beagle that he charted, and he actually sailed around the world. So he's kind of started up here in Europe, sailed all the way down around the tip of South America, around, and then came through by Australia, and then sailed back up to England to kind of give his thoughts and share his findings that he began to find. He found and collected species of and specimens of bones from animals that were living as well as some that were non-living or extinct, and began to kind of compare the two and see what correlations that they have. Um, Through his research and learning all the stuff that he found, he kind of found these. Oh, wrong way, other way. Come on, computer issues today, guys. Oh, went too far. All right, there we go. He kind of based a lot of his information about natural selection around these birds that he found while he was in the Galapagos Islands. Um, he noticed that with this particular group of birds, they're called finches that live there. They are also referred to as Galapagos finches. Finches, there we go. That he began to look at their beak size and noticed that they had very different characteristics, and a lot of them had to do with their beak sizes. But they were all pretty much the same species. So he began to look at variations and tried to figure out what may have caused these different variations in these populations of birds. So if you look at this guy, his beak is a larger beak, and so he probably used that for crushing shells, maybe like walnuts and the shells that are around them. This guy, his beak is a little more pointed and smaller, so he's not going to be able to crush those shells to get the seeds out. He might, I mean, to get the inside out of a walnut, he might have to use eat seeds, or he might use his beak. It looks kind of sharper and more piercing, so he may use his to kind of peck holes in wood, so that, or in a tree, so he can get larvae out, or so he can get maybe seeds off the ground or something like that. But he's not going to have the beak strength and power to crush things like the guy with the bigger one. So he kind of noticed that different regions had different food sources, and a lot of the times the beak shape was related to the type of food that was available in the area. So we are going to watch a brain pipe video on natural selection. You are going to type your answer to this question in the box. What does survival of the fittest mean? Type your answer in the box. So if you are watching the video of this, here's the login information to go to Brain Pop. I also see some people saying that I'm frozen. So if I am freezing for you and you'd rather log in, there is the login information for you to actually be able to view this brain pop. So go ahead and type your answer in the box. Only the strong survive. Eat or be eaten. Only the strong survive. It's because of their strength or how well they are able to adapt to their surroundings. Okay. I like that one. It's a good answer. All right. So with natural selection, Darwin kind of said from his observations that pretty much animals that are best suited for their habitats are going to be the ones that survive and that are able to pass their genetic information on to future generations. He calls it survival of the fittest, but it's really just who is able to adapt the best and use the resources that are in each environment to survive and do what they need to do. So he pretty much came up with 5 key ideas that kind of help prove his point. One, variation exists amongst individuals and in species. Individuals of species compete for resources. Competition leads to death sometimes for individuals while others can survive. Number four, individuals who survive are more likely to reproduce and pass their traits on to their offspring, and over time, a species will evolve. So, the first point, variation exists amongst individuals and species. So, in this picture, it's a picture of mussels. They are a sea creature. Some people eat them. I don't particularly like them, but some people do eat them. But if you notice from the shells don't look exactly the same. Some of them are different colors. They have different stripe patterns. Some of them are more circular, whereas some kind of go down in this direction. But they are all still mussels, but there are variations in them, and that is what leads to diversity in organisms. Next, we have the idea of sometimes individuals kind of compete for resources. It depends on what's going on and what they're kind of looking for. So it could be that maybe they are competing for space or territory or a new home or shelter. It could be that they are competing for food, because if you don't eat, you die, and water for that matter as well. It could be that they are competing for mates, so that they can reproduce and get their genetic information to another generation. A lot of times, the individuals with better traits are going to win this competition for resources. So, what that means is if I don't know how much you guys know about lions. I personally love Animal Planet, and really like I love Shark Week. It's like my favorite. But I also like when they have the big cat shows. Lions have always been one of my favorite animals. Hence the reason why I probably like the Lion King so much. But if you don't know a lot about lions, lions are pack animals. They hunt in packs. They live in packs. They're called prides for lions, but they kind of stay together for the most part. But there's usually only one male in a pride of lions. So you have a bunch of females, but usually one male. So what can happen when it's time to eat dinner? The group of lions will stalk prey, figure out which one they're going to decide to go after, and they'll come up with a plan of attack, and will attack and usually take down whatever prey that they are after. At that point in time, they work together to get a lot of it done, because it can take one, food may be scarce. Two, it depending on what the size of an animal, it might take a bunch of lions to bring it down. If you've ever seen them bring down what is it, like a water buffalo, those things are huge and very strong. So it takes a few of them to actually bring it down and be able to eat it. So lions that live on their own don't typically do as well, because they don't have anybody to hunt with, so it's usually just them hunting by themselves. So if you go back, one of my favorite movies, if you look at the Lion King, look at the size of Mufasa, look at the stature that he has. He was a nice, healthy looking, filled out male lion. But then look at Scar. Scar was very, very skinny. He To me, he looked kind of mangy, but he was very skinny. Even in the live action one, he just did not look as healthy and as robust as Mufasa. So if another lion came and challenged him, so like Scar never wanted to challenge Mufasa because he knew he would lose. But if he in the wild, if another lion, male lion, comes and challenges the male lion of a pride, if the outsider lion wins, the loser has to leave. So if it's the male that was already there, he has to leave. If it's the male that just came in, wandered in, he has to leave. So they will fight to the death. Sometimes if whoever's losing knows that they're losing and they're not trying to catch the smoke, they'll leave. Sometimes they don't. They literally fight to the end. And usually whoever the weaker one doesn't survive and aren't able to necessarily pass their genetic information to a future generation. It happens a lot in the wild, actually, not just in lions, but I like lions. So a lot of times, like I said, they are competing for resources. It could be mates, it could be food, it could be water, it could be just the ability to pass on their genetic information. Side note, in case you didn't realize it, yes, Nala and Simba were probably brother and sister. just so you know. Anywho, yeah, it kind of dawned on me one day. I was watching Animal Planet. I was like, oh, yeah, if that's how they really, do everything, then yeah, they're probably brother and sister. Anywho, with competition, like I said, it does lead to death in some organisms. So if we are talking about the will to live, based off of having a place to hide from predators or having food to eat, then yes, whoever's the less fit is going to be the one that is not going to survive. You also have adaptations that can happen, where people animals can change to fit the environment and be able to either blend in or hide or maybe dig a hole somewhere or climb a tree to kind of evade predators or to expand their um, area that they are able to live in. So that can happen too. Lastly, we have, well, not lastly, next we have the, nope, we did that one. We have the over time a species is going to evolve. So these traits that are more frequent and the ones that are better traits are going to be the traits that are passed down from generation to generation. That is what technically is going to lead to evolution. So if we were looking at giraffes and we had a giraffe that had like a short neck. He had a mutation that had a short neck. We have a giraffe that has like the average size neck for a giraffe, and then we have one that has a super long neck. If we are talking about adaptations and ability to survive, then the chances are the one with the regular size neck and the longer one are going to do better, because over time, giraffes, like, they'll feed their young and take care of them, but after a while they're going to just kind of like they expect them to grow up and be able to feed themselves and do all the rest of that. Well, if a giraffe has a mutation and has a shorter neck, then he's not going to be able to reach all of the foliage and all the leaves and the trees, because the trees may be higher than he can reach. So if he's not able to eat, he's not going to live to reproductive age and is not going to be able to reproduce and pass his traits or his genes on. However, the average size giraffe or the super tall one are going to be able to pass those genes on because they're able to eat, they're able to grow, they're able to become adult giraffes. The ones that are in the middle will still survive, but you might begin to see some pop up that have longer necks because as they eat, and you guys, I don't know how big your families are, but if you're in a family my size, you learn very quick. You have to get in early when it comes to food. I grew up with a whole bunch of males in my family, and they can eat. So if you are in the back of the line, you may not get some of the food options that were there at the beginning. So we kind of have to bypass some stuff and cut line a little bit to get in the front, so that way I can get what I want to eat. Same thing kind of happens. So if you have a whole bunch of giraffes that all have average size necks, chances are the middle part of the tree, all of that's going to be gone. So if you don't get there before somebody else does, they're going to eat all of that food. Versus the giraffe that has a longer neck that is able to reach leaves that the shorter ones can't. They got all the food in the world that they want because it's up there and they can reach it, but the other ones can't. So yeah, natural selection. That's kind of what happens. Over time, if those same extra tall giraffes are able to continue to reproduce, then you're going to end up frequently having giraffes that have longer necks. So that is how species tend to evolve over time. And that's it for today's lesson. So you have assignments in Canvas. We have pretty much our notes should be done at the top, and we should be here at part 2. So if you click here, it's going to take you to this website where we see our good old friend Darwin right here. If you click here to learn about natural selection, it's going to pop up with some information about him and his lovely finches that we talked about earlier today. You click the next part, then we're going to have some parents pop up that we are going to create offspring for them. So you're going to click this to breed the pair. I'm not going to do it because you're going to do it. And you're going to type right here what happens after you click that plus sign. Once you have finished with that, you get to go to step 2, which is play the survival game, which is right here. are you going to survive a million years? So it's you're gonna click through this, answer the questions, and play the game. And then you're just gonna type right here, did you survive? Yes or no. I'll be honest, the first time I played it, I didn't survive. But it's the nature of the beast. I guess everybody doesn't survive. And then lastly, you're going to take the quiz. So if you click right here, it gives you the quiz. Once you've answered all of the questions, it will give you your score at the end. You're going to take a screenshot and insert it right there. And then you're going to submit your assignment to this one, and you will be good to go. Does anybody have questions about what's going on? If you're watching this and you have questions, please send them to my Canvas inbox, and I will answer them as soon as I can.